So I've had a Galaxy Watch active ever since it first came out, and there are some new ones that were just recently released, so I thought it would be a perfect time to do like a long-term review for Galaxy Watch active. So I don't want to do a deep dive in the specs of this watch. This is not that kind of a review, so I'll leave the specs just on the screen right now and you can pause and watch it for all the time that you want to. But for the rest of us, let's move on. The first thing that I want to talk about is the look and feel of the watch. It almost feels like somebody at Samsung really wanted a round Apple Watch, and this is what they came up with. Whether you talk about how the watch band is, or the materials that were used to design the watch bands, or the materials that were used to design the watch, it just feels like it's been all inspired from the Apple Watch. It's not necessarily a bad thing, especially if you like Apple Watches. But as far as I'm concerned, I would say that this watch looks more like a fitness tracker. Having said that, I would like to point out that this watch is extremely comfortable. It's probably because of the size of the watch. The size of the watch is kind of small. It's a 1.1 inch display and it weighs in around 25 grams without the watch bands, and I think it's pretty light. I definitely think if Samsung tried to make it any more bulkier or with like more premium materials, the watch would have definitely compromised on comfort. It's one of those wearable devices that you'll actually forget that you're wearing them. So I said I'm not going to talk about any specifications in this video, but I really want to talk to you about some features that I think like kind of jumped out on me when I was using this watch for such a long time. So obviously Samsung being one of the biggest players in the smartwatch industry right after Apple, it's not a surprise that this watch can do the basic stuff pretty well. It will show you notifications, it will count your steps, and it will remind you to be active once in a while and keep a track of your heart rate. What was surprising to me was the fact that the heart rate sensor can actually measure the oxygen level in your blood, and using that information it can determine your stress levels, and I thought that was pretty amazing. I don't know if that feature is available in all smartwatches because I didn't find anything similar to that in my Android watches. Having that feature has actually made me focus on my mental health and like take care of my stress levels. And when you notice your stress levels are a little higher than it needs to be, you can actually do a breathing exercise with the help of the app on the watch. If you're someone who uses apps on your watch, the Samsung Health app can do everything that the phone app does. You can track caffeine, you can track water intake. It also has information from the heart rate sensor. Moving on, this watch actually has a microphone. You cannot take calls using that microphone. That microphone is strictly for dictation and talking to Bixby. Dictation is a pretty good feature if you want to reply to a text fairly quickly, but Bixby on the other hand, I don't use it because Bixby. Over the period that I've used this watch, the watch has actually received quite a few software updates. Some of the features that are really prominent from those software updates, there is a good night mode that is actually dependent on your sleep cycle since the watch actually tracks your sleep. Along with those software updates, you also got some new watch faces, and this calendar watch face is my favorite nowadays. I think it's perfect. I also want to mention that the battery performance of this watch, despite all these new features being added, has stayed consistent. If anything, has gotten better than it used to be. Like I said, I've been using this watch extensively for 6 months now. I wear it almost every day, so much so that I have tan lines from wearing this watch. As far as the screen is concerned, it is covered by a Gorilla Glass, and the watch also has an IPX68 rating for the dust and water resistance. But in my personal experience, I've been able to put a lot of tiny scratches and a large scratch on the screen and even on the body. I wasn't really trying to scratch the watch, but just walking around and bumping into things, I've gotten these scratches. So I'm going to say the durability of this watch is average at best. So before we wrap up, I really want to talk about a few pain points and the complaints that I have with this watch. So there's no speaker on this watch, so obviously you cannot take voice calls. If you were looking forward to that, this is not the watch for you. There is definitely stress tracking, but I would have loved if the stress tracking also had a reminder if your stress was higher than normal levels. So it can track almost all outdoor cardio activities automatically. But if you're someone who goes to the gym regularly, I would say lifting weights is not one of the things that I would like to do with this watch, because there are some activities that you can track reps and sets for. Last but not as significant, I guess, the watch was first announced with the blood pressure feature. Samsung actually made a huge deal about this watch being the first one that can actually measure blood pressure. But that was a part of a research study, and it still is a part of a research study, so I cannot count that as a feature of this watch. So if you're looking at this watch for the blood pressure monitoring, just don't even try it. It's not worth it. To conclude, I would like to say if you're trying to buy this watch today for $200, I think you can find some better options by Xiaomi or something. But if you really don't want to go that route and you want a Samsung product, this watch is perfect. There were a set of watches that were introduced like 2 days ago, and they are pretty decent. They're more expensive though, so you have to keep that in mind. For $200, this is a good value for money. Anyways, thank you for watching, everybody. If this video helped you in any way possible, please hit the like button, and if you want more videos like these, please hit the subscribe button. Anyways, thanks for watching. This is Geet.